We wanted to put our thumb on the button of expectation. In other words, what's your expectation? You're letting your expectation be guided by your current experience. And if your current experience isn't pleasing you, but it's the drum you keep beating, why doesn't this change? 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 That's what you're saying. Why doesn't this change? Why doesn't this change? Why doesn't this change? And we say, after a little while, you figure out that's why. Let's put it into another way of saying it. It isn't that you don't have enough faith, it's that you've got too much awareness of what is. In other words, you're practicing a vibration of what is, and you can't practice a vibration of what is and a vibration of improvement at the same time.
Right.
So if you are really having as much fun as you say you
I
are, we don't doubt that you are having as much fun. We just want to point out to you that you're spending more time practicing the vibration of standing still than you are the vibration of getting what you want. The manifestation always matches the balance of vibration. So you have to find a way to focus less on what's going on and more upon what you want. Esther was watching television the other day, and she was seeing some activists. And she laughed and said, "I'm working on being a deactivist. I want to be a deactivist." And by that she means I want to deactivate in my vibration those things that aren't serving me. And it's pretty easy to do, because every time something that isn't serving you is active, you feel negative emotion. So you feel disappointed, or you feel that something's not fair, or you feel that you've got a problem. In other words, your emotions always let you know when it would be prudent for you to deactivate something. But the key is not to take the issue that you feel all agitated about and try to deactivate that issue, because attention to something that you want to deactivate just activates it. You can't look at unwanted things and say no and deactivate them, because looking at them activates them. So whether you say yes or no, you're an activist. And so you want to be an activist of thoughts that are in the vortex and a deactivist of thoughts that aren't in the vortex. So what does that tell you? You want to focus differently. You want to focus on things that feel better. Well, it's good to rehash things like that when you remember some of the details of what worked for you. It really is about focusing in a way that feels better. But it's like when you say to someone who's focused on something and therefore they have something activated, when you say to them, you need to focus differently, they can't hear it and they can't even do it, because law of attraction is keeping them focused there. That's why we began giving emphasis on the art of allowing. For a while we said to you, you are the creator of your own experience. And people said, oh, that felt good. It felt like some reasonable control of their experience. And so for a while people would say, I like being the creator of my experience. And then they began realizing the responsibility of being the creator of their own experience. And they began worrying about the thoughts that they were thinking. And we said, you want to be a deliberate creator. And so they wanted to deliberately think about things that felt good and deliberately not think about things that felt bad. But then people started to worry about what they were thinking about. We'd hear them say, cancel. They try to suck the thoughts back before law of attraction, law of attraction would get hold of it and bring them unwanted things. And so then we began putting emphasis on allowing, helping you to understand that it is the allowing of who you have become that really is your work. And then we began talking to you about this stream of well-being that is flowing. And now we're talking about the vortex. In other words, the thing that we want you to understand is that you are more than this physical body, but in this physical body, you are expanding into something so much more. And if you can wrap your thoughts around the absolute fact that the larger part of you is a vibrational being who is calling you, and that every negative emotion that you ever have is because you're not letting yourself be all that you have become, then this gets easy. But as long as it's, I want that thing that isn't coming and I want that thing that isn't coming, then you're off the track, because you don't realize what it is that's causing the negative emotion. Okay. The negative emotion is your personally applied or personally affected separation between you and all that you have become. That's as far as you need to go. If I'm having fun, no matter how it's coming about, if I'm having fun, or if I'm feeling appreciation, or if I'm feeling love, or if I'm wanting to compliment someone, or if I'm feeling in a good mood, or if I'm feeling content in this moment, if I'm feeling in the vortex feelings, then what's the end of that sentence? Then there's no resistance within my being, and being in the vortex, then the path lights up for me to have more fun. In other words, it's the need for something to manifest that isn't manifested that's keeping you out of the vortex. This is easy. If you can just hear us, get in the vortex and make a determination that you're going to get in and milk it. Get in and milk it. Get in and milk it. We promise you the vortex is going to spit you out over and over again, but get back in and milk it. Get back in and milk it. The vortex is going to spit you out over and over again, but get back in and milk it until you have so practiced the vibration of being in the vortex that is what comes easiest to you.
Got it.
So that you're having fun regardless of what's happening. You're having fun because what's happening isn't related to your fun. Hear this. Make it unrelated. Make the money that's present unrelated to the fun you're having. Make what the neighbors think of you unrelated to the fun you're having. Make everything unrelated to the fun you're having, to the clarity you're having. Let that be your dominant priority. And as you have fun anyway, as you have clarity anyway, as you feel appreciation anyway, think back on some processes that we've offered you.
I loved your virtual
never
reality.
Stop offering processes, but think of the book of positive aspects. That process will train you into the vortex. Think of the rampage of appreciation. That process will train you into the vortex. Every process that we offer is with the intent of releasing resistance. The process of going through the alphabet and just finding a good feeling, emotional in the vortex word, that will train you in the vortex. And that is all that's necessary. Really. You've done the work and you've put who you are over there, and everything you feel is about whether you're being it or not. And if you're not, well, just be it. And if you're being it, then you're not asking what's wrong because nothing's wrong. And if you're not, just be it. It could not be simpler. You have the ability to think a better feeling thought every single time than the thought that you're currently thinking. You have the ability to focus yourself into the vortex. You do. But from what we've noticed of you, you have to figure out why you're doing it. And apparently, feeling good isn't a big enough motivation for most of you. In other words, we say, go to the vortex and feel wonderful. And you say, what'll that get me?
Do you know,
what'll it get me if I go pay the price of joy and appreciation? Then will I get my manifestations? And we say, yes, but when you make it about the manifestation, then in your awareness that the manifestation hasn't come, or that you don't know where it's going to come from, or when it's going to come, or who's going to bring it, or how it's going to get there, when you've got all those questions active, all those solutions you're blind to. So you got to quit activating all of the questions of where and when and how and who, and activate why. Activate why you feel good. Activate what feels good. Practice the vibration of feeling good, and the rest will take care of itself. It is our absolute promise to you. You have evidence of it. Look how many people have had a terminal illness, fallen in love, got distracted, and the illness goes away. And you say, ooh, that's magic. And we say, no, that's normal. When you stop the resistance that keeps the cells from having the communication that they want with well-being, when you stop doing that, your vibration raises. The cork bobs back to the surface of the water. And well-being ensues, because well-being is the order of the day. Train yourself into the vortex, and then you begin to feel the power of being in the vortex, and then it compounds itself, because the more in the vortex you are, then the more cooperative components are there. And the more cooperative components are there, the more fun you're having. And the more fun you're having, the easier it is to stay in the vortex, until now you're living that real time. You're in the vortex with the slight contrast that is there, thinking of things that you want, finding the answers to them. And that's the way you intended to live life. Not one of you said, I'll go forth and torture myself into expansion. Not one of you said that. You said, I'll go forth and I'll sift and sort, and I'll decide and I'll define, and I will use the clarity of my mind. But most of all, you said, I will pay attention to the guidance system that I was born with, and I will know in every moment when a thought is off, and when it's off, I'll reach for one that's on. We will agree that if you're tentatively in your vortex, that almost anything can snap you out of it. But if you got in, and you got in on purpose, and you milked it, and you proclaimed that you were there, and you acknowledged how it is you got there and why it is you were able to stay there, you won't easily be pulled out of it. And when you are pulled out of it, you'll know how to get right back in. So if you spend more time in the vortex, it is very unusual when you get pulled out. If you spend more time out of the vortex, it's very unusual when you're able to get in. So it's just a matter of how much time. And there are a lot of people who claim vortex-dom more than they really should. Because it's not about the smile on your face, and it's not about even the words that you're speaking. It's about the song in your heart. It's about the glee in your being. It's about the vitality that you feel. It's about the enthusiasm for life, you see. And if once you tune yourself to the frequency of the vortex and get hooked on it, we want you to get hooked on your vortex, hooked on it. We want you to be addicted to the vortex, addicted to it to the degree that it's just so off when you're not in. You see the world as it exists, where you go to work and you watch people driving in their cars and they don't look all that happy about their cars, and they're listening to stuff, but they don't look that interested in what they're listening, and they go to work and they're not that much interested in work, and they can't wait to go home, but they're not much interested in going home. And then somebody says, let's go to a ball game, and they have a moment of glee. Woo! Drunk, and their team won. But in comparison with how much was going on in their life, it was just a little bit of time in the vortex, and most of the time not even trying to be in the vortex. You get what we're talking about? So when someone says, I struggle to get in and I have a hard time staying in, and it's only because you have not practiced it enough that the in the vortex vibration dominates. But when it does, there will be a tipping point on the fulcrum of your life where things that you've been waiting for what felt like a very long time will come, and they will come so easily you will laugh at the absurdity of your having held them away so long. In other words, the work, this is where it's at. It's getting into the vortex where everything that you are and everything you want is. But you just gotta figure out on your own how to get in and then how to stay in. Don't ask someone else. There is a tendency as humans to want to find something that makes you feel good when you see it. But then you become those who just look around for good things, and when you don't find them, then you're all bummed out and out of control. So we are really not very often wanting to be very cooperative in providing for someone a thought that just makes them feel good when they listen to us. We so much would rather that you conjure it, that you find it, that you carve it out, that you own it, that you practice the vibration of it, that you practice the vibration of it until it is yours, until it is who you are, until it is your proclivity, until it is your nature, until it is just who you are, until you are just optimistic, until you are just sure of yourself, until you are just expectant of good things to come. And once you've trained yourself just even slightly in the direction of that, avalanches of well-being will come to shore up your awareness that you are indeed on your path. And the leverage is the power of the universe that you have taken the time to line up with in order to allow the universe to do all the work of assembling all of the cooperative components. Effort that is offered in action by most people is the effort of trying to make things cooperate, make things line up. But when you take the time, and it's very little time comparatively speaking, to get into the vortex, what happens is law of attraction does all the work, just like gravity holds you on your chair. And as law of attraction has already assembled the cooperative components, and now because you're in the vortex, you have become a cooperative component. Now what happens is you feel wonderful. You're glad to be alive. Your day unfolds perfectly. You have activated and engaged the energy that creates worlds and are flowing it through your experience. And that's what every one of you intended to do. Now we want to go back to something that we said at the very beginning of this day. Friends, that's who you are. That's what's in your vortex. Anything less than that is gonna bum you out. That's the way you're supposed to feel. That's the way life is supposed to go for you. And anything less than that is off the path of who you are, you see.